What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So today we're going to do a stimulus package, stimulus check update. We're going to take a look and a listen to Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia. He's talking about the $2,000 stimulus check, and it is disappointing. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. All right, so I want to get straight to this because I have a lot to say about what he's talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Because there was a terrorist attack. But because I have you here, I do have to ask you some policy issues because you are about to become one of the most powerful politicians in Washington. You've given some mixed messages.
Jake, let's speak about power first. Let's speak about power. Let's speak about power first. I've seen power in Washington.
Yeah.
And I've seen people abuse power. If you think you've got it, usually they end up abusing it. If I'm in a position that I can make a difference by bringing this country back together and making us work in a bipartisan, I'll use it for that.
Okay, so you've given some mixed messages on whether you support sending $2,000 checks to Americans who earn $75,000 or less. Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, as well as...
All right, I'm going to play this back. Watch his body language. So he's engaged. He's talking about power. He's all engaged in what he's talking about. As soon as Jake Tapper says $2,000 stimulus checks, he takes a deep breath and he leans back like that. So I just want you to watch this because I think this is really telling.
$75,000 or less. Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, as well as your new Senate colleagues, Ossoff and Warnock, all support sending these larger checks. Are you on board, yes or no?
Jake, that's not a yes or no question. I'm on board by helping people that need help, people that really can't make it, people that don't have a job, they can't put food on their table. I'm in total support of helping them. Sending checks to people that basically already have a check and aren't going to be able to spend that or not going to spend it, usually are putting it in their savings account right now. That's not who we are. That we have done an awful lot of that. It's time now to target where the money goes. Make sure the people in need. I have people in West Virginia that can't go back to work because there's not a job to go to. I have businesses that can't open up. Don't you think we should be helping them first? And you know, Jake, we're talking about everything else. Why can't we just do something that basically puts people back to work? Infrastructure. If you want to spend $2 or $3 trillion, invest.
Okay, so infrastructure. They've been talking about infrastructure for years. So a lot of these politicians will go to that infrastructure thing saying, this is what we need, this is what we need. You guys have been talking about this way too long and nothing's happened. So that's kind of the scapegoat. We can go to infrastructure and then, you know, take people's attention away from the fact that, yes, we do need a $2,000 stimulus check. Let's talk about infrastructure. They do this all the time.
Invested in infrastructure. FDR did it in the 32, and basically we saw WPA and CCC. I've played ball and gone to schools to where that was built back in the 30s.
Okay.
There's a lot we can do to put people back to work.
So, yes on a big infrastructure bill, no on the $2,000 checks because they're not targeted enough. I only have a minute left, so I just want to do
if they're targeted, no. If they're targeted, if they're targeted, I am all for targeting money.
But not just anybody who makes under $75,000.
Not carte blanche across the board.
All right, so that's a small portion of the clip. He did talk about other stuff. He talked about Capitol Hill, the Capitol Hill situation last week. But I wanna focus on this because this is really telling. And Senator Joe Manchin, he's a moderate Democrat, and this is no surprise. I mean, he was part of the bipartisan group that put that $908 billion proposal together that did not have stimulus checks. He was part of that group. So this is not a surprise that he's saying this now. However, I still think and they keep saying targeting, we need it more targeted. They're not explaining what targeted means. The only thing that he's saying is, well, if you have a job and you get a check, you shouldn't get a stimulus check. Well, a lot of these people have a lot of different factors that are playing in now. They might be getting a check, but they might also have gone to the hospital and have medical bills due to COVID-19. They might be getting a check, but their family members are very, very sick and they have medical bills and they're helping them out. They might have had their wages reduced because their boss told them, look, either I'm going to have to cut your wages or I'm going to have to lay you off. And so they might be getting a check, but it's not the same check that they were getting before. Or they might be getting that same check, but they have to spend money in places where they didn't even think they'd have to spend money in the past. So, I mean, it's just crazy. You have some people that are working on the front line, essential workers who are staying in hotel rooms every night because they don't want to take COVID back to their family members. You have situations like that. They don't want to run that risk. They might not have COVID, but they're working in that environment. They don't want to take that risk of bringing that back home to their family. It's just crazy. And then you have people who work in restaurants. People who work in restaurants who they get minimum wage, they make most of their money on tips. Well, guess what? The restaurants aren't open anymore, but they're still there doing carry out only. So they're still there working, taking orders, but they're not receiving those same tips. And so a lot of the money that they were making before, they're not making now because of that situation. So it's just really, really out of touch for a politician to say, well, we need it more targeted and we're going to target it this way. This is how we're going to target it. If you get a check from your job, you're not getting a stimulus check. It's just amazing to me. And these are the same politicians that were on board, and we have now the 3 martini lunch. They didn't target that. Any company, I don't care if it's a small mom and pop, and I'll explain what the 3 martini lunch is in a second. I don't care if it's a small mom and pop or if it's a multi-billion-dollar company, they can all use this benefit. 100% tax credit. If they go to a restaurant, 100% tax credit. I have a business. I can do the same thing. I can go business-related lunch. Guess what? 100% tax write-off. If I pay $100, I get $100 back when I file my taxes. That is not targeted at all. And you're going to have companies that are worth billions of dollars taking advantage of that. However, when it comes to a $2,000 stimulus check, oh, we need it more targeted. Oh, you have a job and you make $75,000? Guess what? You're not going to qualify for a stimulus check because you make too much money. It blows my mind. When I see this kind of stuff, and like I said, it's no surprise. Joe Manchin, he's a moderate. He's been this way. He hasn't really changed when it's come to stimulus checks. He's kind of said, okay, well, we'll see what happens April 1st. That was this whole thing before when they were talking about the bipartisan proposal in the Senate. We'll see what happens April 1st. Maybe we can move forward with some other stuff. I mean, we're already seeing numbers come out. December, 140,000 people lost their job in December. 140,000 people lost their job. That's the first time since April of last year. And he's still looking at this and saying, well, you know what? No, we need to target it more and not, I mean, they're calling this a stimulus check for a reason. It's to stimulate the economy. The money comes in, the money goes out, it goes to these businesses, it helps these businesses out, they hire more people. That's what it is. And if you really want to make it a situation where people spend the money, they don't put it in their savings, then put it on debit cards and give them a certain amount of time. Don't let them transfer the funds and tell them they have to use that money. Sure, you're still going to have people that are going to find creative ways to try to get that money into their bank account without spending it. But that's going to be a small minority of people that do that. If that's really what you want to do, if you want people to spend the money. But that's what a stimulus check is. That's why they're calling it a stimulus check. It's to stimulate the economy. And I'm telling you, it blows my mind. Wouldn't it be nice if they said, okay, we're going to give you a grocery store martini, whatever. I don't even know what I'm saying, but basically give them credit, 100% credit. You go to the grocery store up to a certain amount of money, you get a credit. You can write it off at the end of the year. That would be nice. Now, some people say, well, look, I don't have money, so that credit is not going to do anything for me. But some people will take advantage of it. And this is another thing that I was thinking about when it comes to targeting the stimulus checks. So if you want to target stimulus checks, let's do the $2,000 stimulus check example, because this is a tax credit. Okay, just like I was talking about the 3 martini lunch, that's a tax credit. This is a tax credit as well, but they've advanced the tax credit to you. So how about give us the tax credit, $2,000 stimulus check, but don't advance it. However, allow people that need the money right away to apply for it and get the money right away. So advance it to certain people, but not everyone. So some people might say, you know what? I don't need the $2,000 right now. I'll wait until I file my taxes and then I'll claim it there. And then some people will take it right away. Why not do that? Maybe that would be more targeted. You're not going to have everyone that's going to want to apply right away to get a stimulus check if they don't really need it. But it's still a tax credit, just like the 3 martini lunch is a tax credit. But all you're doing is you're getting it when you file your taxes. You're not getting it ahead. And so they need to figure this out, because obviously you have 50 Democrats, you have 50 Republicans in the Senate. And if Joe Manchin doesn't want to go along with a $2,000 stimulus check the same way that, with the same parameters that we have right now, well, then now you don't have the majority. But we did have some Republicans. Let's not forget, we did have some Republicans that were for a $2,000 stimulus check. Now, will they still be for a $2,000 stimulus check? That's going to be up for debate, but that's what we're looking at right now. It's very, very close, so you need every vote. And I'm going to do another video, and I might do it later tonight. If not tonight, then early tomorrow morning, where I'm going to talk about the other options that they have. So I was talking about the 60 votes that they need. There's another option that they can use, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a later video. But this is where we are right now. Joe Manchin, he is one that's coming out and saying right now that, I don't know, $2,000 stimulus check, maybe it needs to be targeted. If it's not targeted, then I'm not going to be for it. So I want to know what you guys think. So in the comment section, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.